girl, Amara La Negra, and you're listening to Exactly Amara, a production of iHeart Radio. You guys have been heard me on Exactly Amara. You hear me every Thursday. By the way, thank you for all the love and support. I love when you guys give us a 5-star rating. Gang, 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 period. I love when you subscribe and you share with all your friends. We keep getting more listeners. I am so proud of this show. I am proud of my team. I am proud of you guys for supporting me, for supporting this concept of being uncensored, unfiltered, just the real deal, no taboos. We talk about everything over here. We talk about immigration, and then right after that, we could talk about OnlyFans, and then right after that, we could talk about racism, and we could talk about any single mothers. We talk about everything over here, and that's why I love this show. With that being said, today we're talking about a very personal topic. Déjame bajarle un poquito because como que I feel como que I'm a little bit too excited. Como que bajarle un chililing. So let me bring it down a notch. All right. Well, okay, so today's topic is a very personal topic to me. And I know that a lot of women and a lot of men and a lot of kids and a lot of mothers and some dads will be able to relate because it's been something that has affected my life, ever since I was a little girl. Long story short, but before I get into it, I have to bring in my producer. Y'all already know that he's lit. He helps me get this show together, and he always has the best advice, the best stories. So I want to bring in Alex to jump in with me on today's conversation. Alex, ¿cómo tú estás?
What's up? I'm here with you. Today is going to be a sombering moment, right? Like we're going to be talking about something deep, but we're still going to have the amount of fun that we have with almost every topic somehow, I think. I think you'll twist it around to be something positive in a way.
I pray, because right now I'm feeling real raggedy with what I'm about to say. Well, today's topic is, it's about growing up without your dad, growing up without your father, without a father figure in your life, and how that, eventually affects many of us. It affects, kids. It affects the family. It affects your mental health. It affects the way that you date people. It affects the way that you view the opposite sex. It affects the way that you see sex. It affects the way that you are, in society. It affects many things in life when you don't have both parents, especially when you don't have the father figure, because that's one of the things that unfortunately is the most common. We always, for the most part, see single mothers. And I'm not saying que no hay single fathers. Shout outs to all the single fathers ahí, mi amor, que se pusieron los pantalones and they said, you know what? Yo me voy a hacer responsable. I am going to be responsible for this kid. And this is mine. This came out of my sack. And this is my responsibility. Shout outs to you. Some people do it because they're good parents. Some men do it because, unfortunately, maybe the mother passed away, or the mother may be going through a situation that she's, mentally unstable to take care of the child or whatever. But I appreciate all those single fathers out there, all those real fathers, porque también, let's not trash them. Hay muchos hombres que son buenos padres. Hay que darle su mérito. I think that siempre le damos mérito a las mamás. We always talk very highly of those great mothers, but let's also show some love to those great fathers that are out there, that are responsible, that do the homework with their kids, that take them to the hospital, that are, a real father figure. Shout outs to you. But to all y'all raggedy ass, trash ass, non-caring ass fathers, today's show is for you. Yeah, so Alex, mira, in your case, I have had the opportunity of not necessarily bonding with you personally, pero I've seen you with your daughters, with your kids, the way that you are, you're an amazing father for what I've been able to see. Did you grow up with your father?
That's a good question because I too, that's something that we share, Amara. I don't really have a relationship with my real dad. Same thing. I was born and he kind of just like took off. And one of the things that I want to bring up to you is the fact that, sometimes you have some type of bond in the beginning and then they disappear. So in other cases, they're not even part of the picture.
Is that worse when you have a bond and then they disappear, or is it better when they're never in the picture?
Man, I think that even just the slightest relationship could mean something. for you as a child, right?
Mhm.
Because you could it'll still hurt to try to like, why did he leave, right? Because
Won't that kind of
why
leave you
wasn't he
like
there?
abandonment, issues, like
Yeah, right, right.
traumatized?
So yeah, so that's one of the things that I think about. Like, I didn't grow up with my dad. Now my mom still made me
Mm.
like
Yes.
visit him in Puerto Rico right when I was there, kind of like get to know him.
Really?
And even till today, I've probably hung out with him, and I can count it less than 3 times in my life, and it's crazy, right? So I hung out with him when I was down there for vacation as a kid. That was it. I have pictures with him, maybe 1 or 2 pictures, which is something I wanna bring up to you.
Mm.
Do you have any type of relationship with your dad? Do you have any memories, any pictures, anything from your that your mom could even bring up?
I don't have any clear memories of my father and I when I was small. I do have pictures of him, so I know that he was there at some point. I believe he left when I was like 2. But after that, he came back once I became famous. Um, yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna build up to that because that's something that happens to a lot of people in your position
Right,
that
right,
have a celebrity, But so what you mean to tell me is like you do have some type of resemblance of who he was, right?
right.
Perhaps. How did your mom and dad meet? Like, how does that whole story come together? And the second part to that question is, was he there during her pregnancy?
So my mom's story, of life, it is very tragic. I won't get into too many details, but what I will say is that I wasn't conceived in love, right? And this is something very personal that I haven't really made public like that, but I feel that now that I'm going to be a mother, now that I am in a place of maturity, I can be open and my life is an open book. But I wasn't conceived in a space of love. It was in an abusive space. My mom actually had even paid already for the abortion and everything at the clinic. It was thanks to some testigos de Jehová. How do you say that in English? Right.
Jehovah Witness?
Jehovah
Is that what they are?
Witness. There you go.
Yeah,
The
there we go.
Jehovah Witness people came, knocked on the door. You know how they do on Sundays or whatever, and they were preaching to her. And long story short, they ended up convincing her that she had to have me, and they prevented her from going to get the abortion. And ta, here I am. So, you know, I know that it was very hard for her. They met, in the actually they met in the Dominican Republic, ended up moving to Panama, lived in Panama for 10 years. And that was in the process when my mom, ended up crossing the Mexican border to get to the United States. It was, just following the American dream. That's why I say that sometimes we could be so judgmental about someone, but not really know what they've been through, what their story may be. And that's why she's so protective of me, and she's like very like and I get it. Not to mention I'm the only child, pero
Also, Amara, not to
mhm,
sidebar, but anyone can listen to the story of your mom crossing and
yeah,
everything that she went through in our past episodes that we did with your mom. So
true.
make sure you guys go check out the
True,
archives.
true, true, for sure. Pero I'm just giving this backstory so that you understand that for her, her experience with my father wasn't the most positive, right? It wasn't the most positive. And however, she didn't necessarily talk bad about him to me till later on. When I grew up a little bit more, it was more of like, you see, has he called you? Has he looked for you? Has he did it? She kind of put it on me to see with my own eyes the way that he was acting. Because she always felt like just because we're not together or because he was trash to me doesn't mean he needs to be trash to you. Doesn't mean that is an excuse for him not to try to reach out for you or look for you. Not to mention that unfortunately no, bro. I look just like him. So, eso es lo que pasa. And I'm not going to lie, it's been very traumatizing. I feel like I need therapy. I am a grown ass woman. And at this point in my life, because my father wasn't in my life, I feel that I need therapy. I need it. I need it because I have abandonment issues. Oh my God, I can't believe that I'm saying this out loud because I'm supposed to be a bad bitch. But it's the truth. You know,
Hey, the baddest of them all know how to do what you're doing right now. By the way,
it's the truth. I don't want to sit here and lie and they can preach something that's not my truth. I have abandonment issues because my father wasn't there. I always felt like, why didn't he want me? Like, what was wrong with me? Because he had two other daughters, and that's the love of his life, his two older daughters. But me, I felt like he never wanted me. He never looked for me. However, when he left my mother, he went to Puerto Rico and got a new wife or whatever. And he raised three kids that weren't his for her and took them and put them through college. And he never cared for me. So I always felt like, am I not good enough? Why doesn't he want me? Did I do something wrong? It was my fault. I had and have a lot of those things still sometimes in my mind. I always want to be accepted, and that acceptance, trying to look for that acceptance from my father. Later on through the years, I understood how it affected my personal relationship with men because I always kind of look for the men that don't want me, and I feel like I have to prove myself to them so they accept me. And that made me understand these are childhood traumas that you're carrying in as an adult. I'm like, you don't want me? Why? You have to like me. You have to like want me. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? I can have a whole room full of men that are like, babeándose por me. And I'm like, no, I want the one that doesn't want me. And those are all traumas. We and I say we for women that may connect with my story or may understand where I'm coming from. We end up in abusive relationships, and abusive doesn't always have to be physical. Abusive can be mental, the disrespect, the manipulación mental, all those things. And that's why I'm such a big advocate of like, who cares if you are grown? Who cares? You need therapy, and it's okay. So go look for a professional person that can help trigger those spots in your mind and solve the problem. Let's not keep covering the issues with more issues, because now when you have kids and you have family, you're going to pass that shit on to your kids. You're going to pass on those traumas, those bad habits onto your kids. Mira, oye lo que te voy a decir. They say that when you're pregnant, if you're going through it with your spouse or significant other, whatever, for some reason they end up looking just like them. So to me, it's like, I really want to just think happy thoughts and just love you. So you look like me, but it is what it is. Shout outs to all those great stepfathers. And hasta no me gusta decirle stepfathers, I'm still going to call you a father, because it is not easy to come and step in to a situation where another man has decided not to really play his role and be responsible for something that he did, someone that he created. It takes a lot of balls, it takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of everything in you to raise a child that didn't necessarily come out of your body, pero love them like if they were to be yours. I know so many great stepfathers that their kids end up seeing like, you're not my stepfather, you're my father. Like, you're everything that I know. Like, in my eyes, I can see my father, my real father, and I'm like, who the hell are you? Or like, hey, what's up? Cool, whatever. This is my dad. I think there's also a difference between being a dad and being a father. And also, and those sperm donors. Sometimes también in life, we need those sperm donors. Thank you por el favor. Muchas gracias. And thank you for coming. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of women that after they have their children, after they are pregnant, their whole life transforms. It may look negative at a certain point in life, but you mature, you become stronger, you become more disciplined, you become more goal-oriented. You know that now someone depends off you, off what you're doing. So sometimes, mujeres, even if you're sad, depressed, and you're like, screw him, he's trash. I get it. But Dios sabe por qué hace las cosas. God knows what he's doing. And sometimes you just needed that sperm donor right there, because that's what we got to call him. He's a sperm donor, and that's it. I don't know, because el sentimiento de madre y el sentimiento de padre es diferente. A woman will always be connected to their child because they came out of your body. Like bueno, aunque te voy a decir una cosa, not every woman is meant to be a mother. I know some women that are trash ass moms. Like, just because you have a vagina doesn't mean God was, they were meant to have kids because you're trash. I'll definitely say that. And there's some women, okay, you can tell she was born to be nurturing. She was born to be a mother. This is her thing. That's it. But I don't understand how some men could just be like, look at this small, little, tiny little human being that came out of your balls and her vagina and be like, this baby looks like me. It's gonna talk, it's gonna breathe, it's gonna everything. And I'm just gonna leave you like, bueno, mija, take care. Let me know, I'll see you later in life. And then you go to another woman and then do it again. And then goes and then do it again. And then do it again. Pero mi amor, what do you think this is? Pull-out game is weak. Y'all need to get it together. If you don't want to be a father, if you don't want that responsibility, wrap that dick up. Wrap that shit up. Póngase un condón. No hay condón. Get a garbage bag, stretch it out like back in the days and wrap it up. No hay condón. Get some lotion, jerk it off. Óyeme, if you're not ready to be a father, then be more conscious when you're having sexual activities. And not just that, don't do it just because you're horny. Also think, and that's another thing. When you're older, you start maturing and understanding, but you can't just smash every girl that it's fine that you see. Because what about if she ends up pregnant? Let's just say that scenario. The condom broke. Something happened. Now you're stuck with this person for the rest of your life. I know that you were hot in the moment. I know that but you don't know how that one little, because you might not be that great of a fuck. Let's just say you were there smashing for the next 2, 3, 4 minutes. And that little nut can change your whole path. It changes her life. It changes your family's life. Your goals, your responsibility, your job, with the things that you're planning on doing, that child's life, the traumas you'll create. It's a whole line. It's a domino effect.
And it's another thing is it should be the responsibility of both parties to understand that something could happen and both have to take precautions, right? Like you can't just go into it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like I know that sometimes, and a lot of the time it is the guy like, hey, I'm okay. My pull-out game is excellent, right? At the same
that's
time,
what he said.
yeah, at the same time, like, dude, you gotta like, understand your partner has to understand that they too should take some type of caution in what's happening. But you make some really great points, and let me tell you something, guys. One of my favorite things here is when you get Amara going, and Amara turns into ranting Amara, and she starts with that. Let me tell you with the snap. Something's about to go down.
Hey, what about this?
You know what I'm saying?
What about like pills for men? You know how they have birth control for women?
They do. From what I hear, they have some type of like, they're working on it still. I mean, we're in 2020, almost 2022, and you're thinking that they would have this planned out for us, guys. But no, like, I think the safest method for a guy, and again, we're kind of like educating everyone here who wants to not be a dad right away, or whatever the case may be, or already has kids, a vasectomy is supposedly the safest way, and it's reversible. Right, so a guy can go get the procedure, which is like an hour, and you're done. You never have to go under anesthesia. They just numb you, snip you, close you back up with glue, and you're out of there. Yeah, so that's how easy it is for a guy, and then you can go back and undo it.
With girls, your parents have the rights also, with your quote unquote consent. Pero you know how that works. They take you to a clinic, te ponen una vainita dentro del útero, the T or whatever birth control system.
Yeah.
And then they, make sure that you're not going to be pregnant. Why don't they do that with men?
If it's something that is the norm, right? Because it's not normal. But if it was the norm and it's something that you can do and you would be willing to do, then why not? But I think the number one thing that you can do for both male and female, whether you're gay, straight, or whatever, is teach safe sexual practices, right?
Like what?
Basically wrapping it up, like you said. And we go through this in school. Like we know, like we learned this in school.
No, not really, because I never learned how to put a condom on.
Really?
No,
That's crazy. In my school, they taught us, like, they were very specific in 7th grade. I remember this. Like, hey, these are condoms. This is how you properly put it on.
No, they showed us about the condoms, but a mí nadie me dijo cómo se pone. You learn it from the pornos. You see the thing and you're like, okay, so I have to get the thingy and put it ahí para abajo. But I don't know if it's del otro lado, which side, any side, doesn't matter. Bueno, just stick the thing down.
Right, right.
I also think it's important. If you're going to wrap it up, here's another suggestions of mine. When you put on your condom, still pull out. Still pull out. Listen to
Perfect,
me.
yeah.
Welcome to Amara's church. If you're gonna go over there and stick it to the and you're ready for it, you're gonna bust it. Pull it out, even if you have a condom, because y si se rompe, una gotica así, a little tiny split opens, mi amor, and if she's open like a tunnel, you're gonna find out in a month. So let's be careful. Y otra cosa que also it also affects women's body, and this is another conversation.
Yes.
We've spoken about, pro-choice, pro-life. We've spoken about this, and I feel this is like an endless, everlasting topic, everlasting topic. Pero it's another thing. Cuando una mujer queda embarazada, she doesn't have the same choices, perhaps, that maybe men do. So a lot of times it's like, oh, well, you got pregnant. Yeah, now she's stuck. It sounds terrible, but if she didn't want to after a certain amount of weeks, yeah, I didn't even know that I was pregnant until I was like 2 months and some change. And you could barely still tell my stomach. So for a lot of women or a lot of young women, they don't even find out till later on. And now it has become their responsibility because you don't want to be responsible for it. Now she has to change her whole life. And not only because what's coming after, but the changes your body does. And not only the part of being pregnant, giving birth. Do you know the risk that women go through giving birth? A lot of them die. And I feel like guys think that this is a joke because it doesn't happen to your ass. It doesn't happen to your balls. Nothing happens to you. You're fine. Pero la mujer tiene que hacer una transición muy grande. So I feel like we have to be more responsible overall as adults, as sexual beings, as sexual partners. Once we get into the space of we're having sex, understanding that the possibilities of this woman getting pregnant is a reality. And understanding that getting pregnant doesn't always mean here's $500, go get an abortion. You can end up having this person as the parent of your child. Sí, y otra cosa, just because she looks pretty doesn't mean that this is the type of person you want
to be
the mom of your kids.
Yeah.
Ella puede ser muy linda y ser una loca. She could have the best toto ever y ser una loca. This is what I'm saying. What are your morals, your principle? ¿De dónde viene tu familia? Are you a crackhead? What do you do? Do you mess around in the streets? Why are we having these conversations? Why is everything just so sexualized? Like this is not a real possibility.
Correct.
So that then we continue to create this domino effect where we continue to have children that are not in a full, happy, home, unless you're fortunate enough to find an amazing stepfather to step in, which is not always the case. You end up with a woman with 3, 4 kids, 5 kids sola, having to work 1,000 jobs, having to get assistance from the government, having to ask your parents, your sister, everybody to assist. Why is this happening? We all know how to prevent it. So
it escalates, Amara. It escalates, and again, this could all lead to what when we first started, right? The mental health of someone who didn't grow up with their dad, whether they're female or male, right? All of this kind of just always comes back in full circle, right? And to kind of like button things down here, because we've kind of like given everyone a little bit from every corner of the space, right? From being a single mom or, not growing up without a dad and everything in between. I want to ask you, Amada, to kind of button everything up is what do you hope for your kids? And would you be open to accepting a stepdad to take that role, right? Like if you were to meet someone after you have your kids that falls in love with you and loves your kids and you can see they're genuine, right? They're not there to play around. Are you open to that? Are you open to changing the kids' lives and, and give them what you, and not in any bad way, what you kind of missed out on, like, I don't want you to feel like
no,
that's a bad thing.
not at all.
Yeah.
Mira, I'm not gonna lie. There is a part of me as a woman, as this is my first pregnancy, my first kids, my first everything. It's like when I had my gender reveal, I cried so much when I found out what my babies were and to know that I was standing there by myself. and I didn't do my babies by myself. It was very hurtful. And I know that I was talking about it with my mom ayer. I'm like, I know I'm gonna go through that same experience and that same pain and that same hurt when I see myself in that bed giving birth to not one but two children by myself and not have that significant other or that support or that vision of what I had. Like, I'm gonna finally have my family. My mom wasn't able to give me a family. I'm gonna be able to fix this. And then sometimes I feel like a failure because I feel like, coño, I waited so long and I just repeated the same cycle. I'm not gonna give my child that family that I wanted, and it hurts me because I feel guilty. I feel like it's my fault. I fucked up. I didn't do it right. What did I do wrong? And I question myself many times. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I'm trying to figure out what is the best decision because I'm trying to think as mature as possible without thinking about my own personal pain and how I feel. Because my own personal pain would be like, tumba eso, papi. It's done. No. But then I'm like,
That's your self defense. That's your mechanism to how to cope with things, Amara.
right.
You're using that specifically to not feel the way you were feeling with your mom.
And I'm
Like,
trying
when you
not
were
to.
crying.
And that's why I'm like, this is so hard. And I feel like I need therapy. I need help. And I am, at least I am being vocal about it. And I'm like saying, necesito ayuda. A lot of people don't say anything and they end up doing very bad decisions. So I don't know how I'm gonna handle it. I don't know how I'm gonna manage it. I wish that I could fix it. That's my biggest thing. Like, I don't know how to. I wish that I could fix this. However, you can't be with someone for the kids. That's even worse. That's worse for the kids. That's worse. Whatever you have to do what's best for the children and remove yourself as an adult from your personal feelings, right? So if God were to bless me with me being able to fix this situation, I'm in. If I can't fix it, I would be more than happy and I would be more con los brazos abiertos with open arms to receive a great, responsible, nurturing, and caring man that would be willing to love me as I am and also accept my daughters because now they are part of me. So if I find that person, amen, bienvenido y bien recibido sea. I would love that most definitely.
So that's great. That's you I think you're on the way there. You're open to it. So
Amen.
your way of fixing things are going to be what you feel more comfortable with, not what everyone else would want you to have, or even unfortunately what your vision was.
Yeah.
You can kind of skew it and
Modify it.
still have modify. You can still have that, and I believe that. Listen, you're a great person. You're gonna find that dude. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna make you happy. Who's gonna take care of you and your daughters, and perhaps start a family of his own with you on top of your twins,
Yeah,
right? So,
because
hey,
I'm still.
there's room
Oh, wait a
there.
minute. There's a lot of room over here. I come from a family where they have 16 kids, one woman, one todo. I can still make it happen. Espérate. So, yo, for real, my grandmother has 16. My uncle has 12. Y es normal. Bueno, they're Dominican. Foggy, foggy all the time. So,
Wow.
yeah, hey, I'm very fertile. And on top of that, you already know me. I come from having triplets. I just lost one, but I got two left. So you never know with me, you might get two for one. But with that being said, I really wanted to do this episode to connect with whatever or whoever, is going through it right now. If you are someone that can relate to my story, someone that can relate to having somewhat traumas because your father wasn't around in your life. If you are that stepfather that are, you're stepping into the picture, yo, shout outs to you, man. Like, you deserve the highest blessings and the most, people really need to appreciate and uplift you more for what you're doing because a lot of men wouldn't do that, especially these days. If you're a single mother out there, mama, you're not by yourself. It happens to the best of us. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how big your ass is. It doesn't matter how pretty you are or how intellectual you are. It happens to the best of us. You're not by yourself and you got this. You can make it happen. Con fe, safe. You need to have a lot of faith, a lot of prayer, and you can make this happen. For the families of those that are supporting those single mothers, Yo, shout outs to you too. If you're that grandmother, if you're that sister, if you are that cousin, if you are that uncle, if you are whoever in that family that are supporting a single mother, shout outs to you too. You deserve to be praised too, because this is a team effort. This is a teamwork, and we're grateful for you too. So you're not by yourself. Don't lose hope. And by the way, definitely let me know if you've had any of these things, if you're going through it, if you went through it, how you're gonna handle it. Go check us out on all our social media platforms, on Twitter and on Instagram at exactly Amara. Also go check us out on the YouTube channel at Amara La Negra ALN, or just write in the search bar exactly Amara or Amara La Negra. You will find us in a heartbeat. This has been an amazing show. I am so grateful, Alex, for having you in today. You always make me feel comfortable, always give the best advice. And Conchale, gracias. Thank you so much for joining us today.
That's what I do, man. I want to be here for you. Let's go.
Bueno, you already know. Remember to rate us and share this podcast with everyone that you know. And of course, rate us, give us those 5 stars, and share with everybody that you know. De verdad, mira, tu prima, tu primo, your cousin, anybody that you know that is going through it or that really needs to hear this episode, share it. Copy, link, y dale pa' allá. This has been a production of iHeart Radio's My Cultura podcast network. And for more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. This is your girl, Amara La Negra, and you're listening to Exactly Amara.